I've been living in France for a while now, but there are still little things that make me stop and think that this is actually quite cool or weird. So today I wanted to share a few of those things with you, the slightly weird but wonderful things that makes me smile or not. Let's start with this, parking. Now this is the one I don't really love, but still surprise me every time I see it. People here park anywhere, and I mean anywhere. Half on a pavement, slightly at an angle, even at the entrance of a car park, even though spaces are clearly available just a few meters away. First, this really surprised me because in London, your car would have been probably taken away in about 5 minutes, but here, that doesn't seem to be the case. And I remember one particular time last summer, we went to the beach and it was really busy. We were driving around probably for 10 minutes looking for a parking space. And when we finally find one, we actually found not just one, but two right next to each other. But by the time we got there, there was this other car who just literally parked in the middle of the two spaces. So I got out of the car and asked him if it would be possible for him to move so he could take one space and we can take the other one. And then he looked at me and he looked at the car and he said no, because he needed the extra space. And honestly, first I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So I asked him again, please move. You can see how busy it is. We can't find any space anywhere. And he just said, no, I can't move because the car next to the available parking space parked a little bit on the line. So if he would move his car to take one parking space, he wouldn't have the space he would like for his car. So he literally refused to move. And obviously most people are not like that. But it's really not unusual to see cars parked here in spaces that you would just never think that you could even park there for a minute. So parking here feels a little flexible. Restaurants are another one, and I actually really love this. Once you sit down, the table is yours. Nobody's rushing you. Nobody gonna bring the bill without you asking, and you don't feel like you need to rush because they just want to turn the table around. You can just sit there and enjoy your time. You can enjoy your food, your drinks, the atmosphere or the sunshine. And it's very, very lovely. First, I felt actually a bit weird. I thought, do we supposed to leave now? But no, you really can just take your time. But there is one thing that you need to be careful. You need to watch the opening hours. Because restaurants here normally open for a few hours for lunch and a few hours for the evening. And once it's getting close to the closing time, you need to get out. And I mean, you need to get out before that. Because it's very important to respect the opening times. Otherwise, you will be asked to leave pretty quickly. But I guess it's reasonable. Everyone want to go home and want to rest. So as long as you keep an eye on the opening time, you could just take your time as long as you want. But be polite and get out before the closing time, before you are asked. Another thing that took a little while to get used to is how shop works here. No one really comes up to you asking if you need any help, and no one really watching every move you make in the shop. And it's amazing. It feels really different because in London, when you went to the shop there, you pretty much almost immediately asked if you need any help, and even if you didn't need any help, because the only thing you wanted is just browsing, you still felt the shop assistant watchful eyes for every second you were in a shop. And it always made me feel a little uncomfortable because half of the time I don't even know myself what I'm looking for. So how can the shop assistant help? I just basically want some space and time to just relax and actually figure out what I'm looking for. But here I don't have that pressure. I just go into the shop and I can take my time. I can browse. They don't rush me. They don't watch me. And it's really nice. And to be fair, I don't really go to big shops here anymore because I prefer with greniers. But when I do, I just love the freedom here. Another thing I really love is how dogs are part of everything here. You go to a restaurant and there is a dog sitting under the table like it completely belongs there, and no one even looked twice. Sometimes you don't even notice them at first, and then suddenly you look down and there is a dog quietly sitting there. They are just chilling, perfectly behaved, occasionally looking around, hoping someone nearby might give them a little stroke on the way out. And I love that. Obviously I'm biased because we have a dog, but for me it just feels so relaxed, like life doesn't have to be so separated. Dogs are just part of everyday life, everywhere. One of the first things I noticed, and I actually really like, is how people carry bread here. You just see people walking down the street with a baguette under their arm. No bag, nothing, just a baguette. And you can see that in villages, in towns, everywhere. It's super common. I remember years ago when I first visited Paris, that was the first time I saw this. People just walking on the street with a baguette under their arm, and some of them even wore a beret. And it was so nice. I don't know why, but it's so stereotypical. It's like something straight out of the movie, immediately put a smile on your face. Here, it's not so common to see people in a beret, but people carrying a baguette is definitely not uncommon. And to be fair, I understand why. I am a big fan of baguette myself. And then there are the cats. You see quite a lot of stray cats in villages, and first when I saw them I actually felt quite sorry, because you see them everywhere. They're sitting on walls, they're hiding in like little corners, or sitting on people's cars. It's not uncommon. So anyway, when I saw them first, I really felt sorry for them, because I thought that obviously they have no homes, nobody to look after them, and they have nothing to eat. But then I started noticing small things. I saw little food bowls for them outside the houses, and I saw people actually physically feeding them. So I asked a friend about it, and she explained that normally, like most villages, stray cats actually look after by the village. So normally there's like a group of people who look after the cats, like feeding them, and they even manage a population. So even though they live outside, they're not neglected at all. They kind of part of the community. So when I see them now, I feel completely different. I see them as kind of village residents, and I think it's really nice. And then there are the markets. The markets here are not just about shopping. They are really social. People chat with each other, they chat with the vendors, they try things, they taste things. They taste olives, they taste cheese, a bit of wine, and it's really lovely to watch. It's not about getting in and out quickly, it's about being there, taking your time and enjoying the atmosphere. You see people just standing around, talking, laughing, catching up. It feels almost like a little community event. And I love that, especially now that the weather is getting warmer. It's just so nice to be there, even though I don't understand half of what they say. And then there is something that's a bit harder to explain, but I think that's the biggest one. People here seems much more comfortable just being in the moment. You see this all the time. Someone sitting by the canal, watching the boats, or chatting outside houses, watching the world goes by. Just being there. And I don't know, it feels really different. Not everything has to lead to something else. Not everything has to be productive. And I think it is really lovely. Just be in the moment. So yeah, these are just some of the small everyday things that still make me pause sometimes. Not big dramatic differences, but little moments that makes life here feel really different. Anyways, that's it for today, and I see you in the next one. A bientôt!